Hi everyone! This is our third video covering the general outfit workflow, and once again, it's not actually an Outfit Studio video. Today we're going to talk about using NifSkope. Why? Because it's a really important tool in our toolbox, no matter which 3D modeling software you use. If you want to do outfit work for Skyrim, you need to learn how to use NifSkope. Today, I'm just going to cover some basics of NifSkope to get you started. I'll do another video later down the road showing you how to optimize your outfits using some of the NifSkope functions. But for now, let's just make sure you have it installed, that you've done any necessary troubleshooting to make sure it's working properly, and teach you how to change the order of meshes within NifSkope. I chose this as the first activity to show you because knowing how to reorder meshes in NifSkope will be needed for most of the upcoming videos. Let me caveat this video right up front by admitting that I'm far from an expert with NifSkope. It is an amazing tool with extensive capabilities, and between this video and the later one focused on optimizing our NIFs, I will only be scratching the surface of what this program can do. There are some great resources that you can use to help understand its functionality better, and I've provided links to lots more information in the description. So please go check those out if you'd like to learn more. Here is an overview of what we will be doing in this video, and you can use the timestamps in the description to skip to specific steps. This is going to be a video for beginners. I will assume that you are not very familiar with NifSkope yet, so I will be going slow and explaining in detail. If that's not what you're looking for, then this video is probably not for you. If you don't already have NifSkope installed, then you'll obviously need to do that first. As I recommended for the BAE installation, I suggest making yourself a folder in your C drive where you install all your modding utility programs, including NifSkope. I'm not going to show the installation in this video because, at the time of this recording anyway, it's still pretty much the same as a previous video that I made. That video is a bit rambling, but if you want to see the steps, the link is in the description. Installation is very similar to what we did for BAE in video number 4 of this tutorial series. You download a zip file and extract the contents to a folder on your computer. You can find NifSkope on GitHub, also linked in the description. When you get to the GitHub page, scroll about halfway down to find the right download. You want the Dev 7 version, not 2.0 pre-alpha 6. If you don't see the download, click the little arrow next to Assets. If you have NifSkope already installed, but it's located in your Programs or Programs 86 folder, then I suggest you move it. To do this, you should be able to simply take the folder where it's currently installed and drag the entire folder to a new location. And don't forget to change your desktop shortcut too if you have one, because it will still point to the old file path. If simply dragging the folder somewhere else doesn't work, then I suggest you actually go through the hassle of uninstalling the one you have and reinstalling to a safer location. Pause this video now if needed to install or move NifSkope so you will be ready to tackle every step in these tutorials. Note that if you use Mod Organizer 2, you can set NifSkope to open through MO2, but I don't recommend it. It's not necessary, and it's frankly more trouble than it's worth in my opinion. Okay, if you haven't used NifSkope to open NIFs before, your computer won't know how to do it. How can you test this? Very easily. Find a NIF file. For example, I'm going to work with this outfit_0 NIF from the Simply for Practice mod, and double-click on it. If the outfit opens in NifSkope, then you are good to go. If instead you get a little window that looks something like this, then you just need to teach your computer how to open it. Let's walk through that process. You'll want to use NifSkope as the default program for opening NIFs, and you always want it to do that. So in this pop-up window, first click the little box that says, Always use this app to open NIF files. Then click here where it says More Apps. Scroll down to the bottom and find Look for another app on this PC. And in the window that comes up, navigate to where you have installed NifSkope. For me, that is a folder called Modding, right on my C drive, and then a NifSkope folder inside that. Click once on the executable called nifscope.exe and hit Open. The file should open up. Now let's test that we got it set up right. Close out this NifSkope window by clicking the X up in the upper right-hand corner. Then go back to your NIF in the mod folder, double-click on it, and make sure it opens in NifSkope without going through the dialog box again. If you still get the dialog box, follow the steps again to show your computer that you want it to use nifscope.exe, and make sure you have ticked the box on to always open NIF files with this app. When you first open a NIF with NifSkope, you may only see a hot pink mess like this. That just means that NifSkope is not sure where to find the texture files. So we have to provide it with the location. And we'll need to do this for every mod that has NIFs you want to see in NifSkope. That might sound like a lot of work, but it's super easy to do. Just go up here to Options, then Settings, and click on Resources down here. This is where you add the folders that contain your texture files for the NIFs. Yours may be empty, and that's okay. It will get filled up as you add folders to it. You will add mod folders that have loose texture files on this Paths tab. And you will add BSAs to the Archives tab. You can tell the difference by looking at your mod. If you can see a folder inside called Textures, then you will add that mod to the Paths tab. If you only see .bsa files, then you will add the mod's BSAs to the Archives tab. Here you can see, for example, that I have added all the Skyrim texture BSAs into my Archives tab. Note here that the archive file itself has to be added for BSAs. So all the locations listed on the Archives tab should end in .bsa. I'm pointing this out because it's a little different from what we do on the Paths tab. The Simply for Practice mod I'm using in this example has loose texture files. So we need to add it to the Paths tab. In my Paths tab, you'll notice that I have a lot of folder locations already added. And that is an accumulation of outfits from mods that I've wanted to see in NifSkope over the years. I would not suggest adding all of your mods here at once. That would be tedious, and it's probably unnecessary work. I generally just add these as I go, putting a new path in here anytime I encounter a hot pink mesh from a mod that I have not opened previously in NifSkope. If you're following along with me and you've opened the outfit_0 NIF from the tutorial mod, yours will also be pink if you haven't added the mod to your NifSkope list. Let's go ahead and do that now. First, click on Add Folder. Then navigate to wherever you have the Simply for Practice mod installed. If you've pinned it to the quick access bar, as I recommend, then this is very easy. If not, then just click through folders until you find it. Click once to select the main mod folder, not the textures folder inside. Make sure the main mod folder is shown down in the location box, and then hit Select Folder. You can see the folder has now been added up here at the top, but nothing happened in the outfit window. That's because we have to hit the Apply button at the bottom for our change to take effect. Do that now, and you should see the outfit change immediately. You may be wondering if the order of the folders listed here matters. The answer is yes and no. It's no if you only have one mod that contains the textures for that mesh, like our Simply for Practice mod. But if you have more than one mod that contains textures for the same mesh, then the order does matter, just like the load order of your mods. And in NifSkope, the folder on top always wins. For example, I have 3 male body texture mods in here: Tempered Skins, Skysight Skins, and Vitruvia. At the moment, male bodies will be shown in NifSkope using the Vitruvia textures because it's on top. But I can swap that around really easily by changing the order of the folders. Just click on the folder you want to move, then hit either the Move Up or Move Down button over here, like this. Now the male skin shown in NifSkope will be using Tempered Skins because that folder is on top. Anytime you make a change in this window, you'll have to hit Save or Apply for it to take effect. And when you're done, just close this window, and that's it. Each time you encounter a hot pink mesh in NifSkope, come back into this window, which remember can be found under Options, Settings, and Resources, and add that folder or BSA for the mod. NifSkope will remember these settings from one session to the next. Note that sometimes NifSkope crashes after you hit Apply. I don't know why. Just double-click on your NIF file again to reopen it, and it should work fine. I also want to point out that the location you specify does not have to be a Skyrim mod folder. NifSkope doesn't care where the files are on your computer as long as there is a textures folder and the texture files are mapped properly to the mesh, then NifSkope can find them. You can see an example of that here in my list, where I've pointed to a mod folder that I temporarily stuck on my desktop. If you still can't see the textures, double-click the resources list again to make sure you have the mod folder listed properly. Your folder path will probably look a little different from mine because I have my MO2 mods in a custom location. So make sure this path reflects where your mods are kept, and for loose files mapped in the Paths tab, be sure the line ends with the main mod name and does not include the word textures. But on the flip side, for BSAs in the Archives tab, remember that you have to point to the actual BSA file and not just the mod's main folder. The next thing to check is whether or not you can open multiple NIF windows at the same time by just double-clicking on them. We'll need to be able to have multiple windows open because we're going to do a lot of comparing one NIF to another, and we also want to be able to cut and paste from one to another. If you haven't already got one NIF open, go ahead and find one and then double-click to open it. Now simply double-click on another one to see if it also opens. I've got the outfit_0 NIF already open from the tutorial mod, and I'm going to also open the outfit_1 NIF file. Hopefully, when you double-click on a second NIF, it opens with no problem, and you can just move both NifSkope windows around on your screen to line them up. If the second NIF does not open, then there are 3 things you can try. First, make sure your antivirus software isn't blocking NifSkope. Second, make sure NifSkope is not installed in either your Program or Program86 folder. Or 3, try running NifSkope as an administrator. If the problem remains, as a workaround, you can do this the long way from within NifSkope. Click on File, and then New Window. In the Open NifSkope window, go to File, then Open, navigate to the NIF you want, select it, and hit Open at the bottom. I'm hoping you won't have to do it that way and can just double-click on the NIFs themselves to open as many as you want at the same time. So, this is our outfit in NifSkope. This NifSkope window can look pretty scary until you get used to it. There's a bunch of stuff in here that may look almost like a foreign language, and you may be afraid to touch any of it. Don't worry too much. You can poke around in here, and as long as you don't save the file, you won't break anything. In the default layout, we have 3 panes, which I'll talk about in a minute. For now, don't change the layout, and try not to click on these little icons here and here, or drag any of the panes around. Changing the layout won't mess up your outfit, but it can make it harder to follow along if your screen doesn't look the same as mine. Once you know your way around, you can set up this layout however you prefer. And if your layout gets changed accidentally, you can get it back. There's a quick snippet in one of Kingath's videos on this. I'll put the link for that in the description. But basically, you'll just have to turn on what you want to see in the View menu at the top, and then drag these panes around until they stick where you want them to be. By default, NifSkope is set up to show you 3 panes. The upper left pane will show you the structure of your NIF. The lower left pane shows details about whatever you've selected in the top pane. And on the right is where we view our outfit. Hovering your mouse over a pane will make it the active pane. For example, slide your mouse over the outfit. When you scroll the wheel up and down, you'll see the outfit view zoom in and out. You can click and hold the middle mouse button to move it around in the window, and opposite to Outfit Studio, you use the left mouse button to rotate the outfit around. But like in Outfit Studio, you can click on a mesh piece in the outfit window to select it. When you do that, it will automatically select that mesh over here on the left as well. If you slide your mouse over here to the upper left pane and scroll up and down, you can see the list scrolling likewise. Slide your mouse over the bottom left pane and do the same. You don't have to actually click anything in either pane, just hover your mouse over it and scroll. These left-hand panes, the block list up here and block details down below, are where all the important information about our mesh is shown. If you clicked on a mesh piece in the outfit window, then you probably already see a list of things shown over here. If not, then you may only see a line that says Ninode and, most likely but not always, the name Scene Root. Clicking on any line in the block list, the upper pane, will bring up information about it in the block details section, the lower pane. If you can't see everything, you can resize the panes by sliding this little dotted horizontal line in the middle up and down, or expanding the width of the panes by sliding the little dotted vertical line here between the block list and the outfit view from side to side. The upper left pane actually has different tabs that you can click on, as shown here in the middle. Be aware that if you hover your mouse in this area and scroll up and down, it will scroll across through the tabs. By default, the block list tab is shown, but you can also click on Header or Archive Browser to switch to those tabs. I don't know what the Archive Browser is for. I've never used it, but there are some things we'll do later in the Header tab as we work through these tutorials. The block list and block details are where we will be doing almost all of the important things in NifSkope. So let's have a look at those. With the block list tab selected here in the middle, click on the little arrow next to the top node called Scene Root in our tutorial mod. Click a few times to see how it expands or collapses the tree. Then leave it expanded so you can see all the stuff listed here. Assuming you opened an outfit NIF, you will see all the bones used in the outfit. And below the bones, you should see some nodes called BS Tri Shapes if it's an SSE mesh, or maybe a NiTri Shapes if you have an old Skyrim LE NIF open. These are our outfit mesh pieces. Click on one of them and you should see it light up in the Outfit View window. Note that the mesh pieces also have little arrows next to them, which means they can be expanded further to see more stuff underneath. Click on the little arrow next to a BS Tri Shape to expand the branch. And note that there are some things tucked away in here. First, let's look at the BS Lighting Shader property. Click on that line and it will bring up the shader properties for this mesh piece in the lower pane. We'll talk more about what this stuff means later. Note that there is also a little arrow next to BS Lighting Shader property, which means we can expand this line again to see even more. Click on this little arrow now to expand the branch. Then click on the line that says BS Shader Texture Set. This is where we can see and edit the texture files for the mesh. You will get intimately acquainted with this section if you do much outfit work. I'm not going to talk about this for now, but just be aware that this is where you find it. Another important thing to be aware of is the BS Dismember Skin Instance section. Click on this line in the block list, and then go down to the lower pane and click the little arrow next to the Nested Partitions node. This is where you can see and edit the body part or parts that this mesh is associated with. We'll go over what that means and why it's important in a later video. You may have noticed as we've been walking through this exercise that the structure up here in the block list is like a tree. There's a main trunk, usually called the scene root, with large branches, the BS tri-shapes, coming off of it, and then smaller branches like BS Dismember Skin Instance, BS Lighting Shader Property, etc., coming off of those. I want to emphasize the terminology here because some of the functions you can do by right-clicking on one of the lines refers to branches. A branch is whichever line you have selected, plus all of the sub-branches below it, just like a tree. So that was a quick overview of the block list. Also to note is the main toolbar up here at the very top. All you need to know about this for now is that this is where you go to save the NIF, and you can do either File Save to overwrite the existing one, or Save As to choose a new file. We've already gone over adding texture paths to the resources list, which can be found in the Options and then Settings menu. And in the Help menu, you can find out more about NifSkope and all of its functions and capabilities. There are more buttons and tools and things up here right below the main toolbar, and I'm not going to go over them since they're not required. But if you're curious, take some time to explore them. Many of them are toggles, so you can just click them on and off as you want. If you hover over a button, you'll get a very short tooltip about its function. Some, but maybe not all of them, will reset if you close out of NifSkope and then reopen it. So if you end up turning something on and you can't figure out how to turn it back off, then I would just try closing all your NifSkope windows and reopening a file. So we've finished a whirlwind tour of the NifSkope window, and there are a number of important things we'll learn how to do in here. But for today, the only NifSkope activity I'm going to show you is how to reorder mesh pieces in the block list. This is an important thing to know because your mesh pieces must be in exactly the same order in both the size 0 and size 1 files. And you'll generally want your mesh pieces of any modified NIF to be in the same order as the original. If you need to change the order, the only method I have found that works reliably, and more reliably than actually doing it in Outfit Studio, is to cut and paste the blocks here in NifSkope. I've played around a lot in both programs and not found a better way, but if anybody does know of an easier alternative, please post it in a comment. For now, this NifSkope cut and paste method is what I'm going to teach you. Let's say we want to change the order of the meshes in this Outfit 0 NIF from our tutorial mod. First, note that the mesh pieces are all listed in numerical order here in the block list. By convention, the body part node, which is UNP pushup 0 in this example, is always listed first. And then we have top, panties, and shorts in that order. But let's say that instead of having the order as shown here, we want it to be shorts, panties, and then top. So what I need to do is take these top and panties branches and put them below the shorts branch in the order I want them to be in. You can't directly change the order number in the block list, or at least I haven't been able to figure out how to do that. But we can take advantage of the fact that NifSkope always puts a newly pasted mesh at the bottom of the list. So we are going to rearrange the order of these meshes by copying and pasting. We want our new order to be shorts, panties, top, So we leave shorts where it is, and we first copy and paste the panties branch so it is right below shorts. Then we'll copy and paste the top branch so it ends up right below panties. And then we will delete these two original branches that we copied because they will now be unnecessary duplicates once we've pasted them below. There is a long way and a short way to copy and paste branches. Let's do it the long way for the panties branch to demonstrate. Right-click on panties, select block, and then copy branch. Select yes at the confirmation window, and scroll up to the root node, which is called scene root in our example. Right-click on it, and select block, paste branch, and then say yes again at the confirmation window. See how the copied panties branch is now located at the very bottom of the list? And its number now reflects that too. Now there's a faster way to do the same thing, the short way as I call it, which uses shortcut keys, and this is what I usually do. So let's do that for the top branch. Just click on top, hit Ctrl+C to copy, scroll up to the root node, select it, and then hit Ctrl+V to paste. Bam! Now you can see that the top is the last branch in the list, and its number also reflects that. The last step is to delete the now duplicate and unnecessary branches that we copied from. Unfortunately, shortcut keys do not work for this, and neither does the delete key on your keyboard. So we have to right-click on the branch we want to delete, select block and remove branch, and hit yes at the confirmation window. Then do the same for the original panties branch up here. Right-click, block, remove branch, and yes in the pop-up. And now you should be back to only 4 meshes in the new order that we wanted, which is body, shorts, panties, and top. If you don't get the order right the first time, you can keep doing this cutting and pasting trick as many times as you need until it's correct. Just be sure to delete all the extra duplicate meshes so that you end up with only the same number that you started with. This may seem like an onerous or time-consuming method, but it's super quick once you get used to it. For instance, I can change the order back to the original, top, panties, and shorts, in probably less than 30 seconds. We would leave the top alone, Ctrl+C to copy panties, then Ctrl+V to paste it. Do the same for shorts to copy, and then paste. And finally, right-click and delete branches for the original panties, and then the original shorts, and voila! After you are done trying out this reordering meshes, just close the NIF without saving it. If you did save it, either accidentally or on purpose, that's okay. I always include checking the mesh order in NifSkope as part of the workflow process. So if you were using a NIF from the tutorial mod, then we'll catch this later and fix it. If you are working with a NIF that's not part of the demo mod, and you accidentally saved the new mesh order, just open the other size NIF file that shows the original order, change your newly saved file back to match the original, and then save the fixed version. Okay, so that's the only little NifSkope trick I wanted to cover today, so let's wrap this up. You should now have NifSkope installed, be able to open NIFs by double-clicking on them, open multiple NifSkope windows at the same time, have some rough idea of how to navigate in the window, and be able to reorder mesh pieces in the block list. Don't worry if you're still pretty uncomfortable with NifSkope, or even if you still feel completely lost. It takes time and practice to get used to, but it is a really important tool, so don't be afraid to try it. As we move through the tutorials, especially those aimed at beginners, I will be showing you the NifSkope steps you need to do as we go along. There's so much more that you can do in NifSkope, and we will be doing some additional things as we work through the videos. But I won't be covering all the functions you can do in NifSkope, and I'm only going to dole out the knowledge that you need as you need it. Because in the words of Master Arngeir,
There is indeed much that we know that you do not. That does not mean that you are ready to understand it.
Thanks for joining me for this quick tour of NifSkope, and I encourage you to poke around and try out what I've shown you in this video until you feel a little more confident about it. It really is a powerful and required tool. Next time, we're going to talk about how to test your outfits in Skyrim. There's a bit more to it than just logging into the game, and I want to be sure you've got the gist of the steps that I recommend so you'll be prepared for our first real outfit experience. Until then, keep being curious and keep experimenting. Good luck, and I'll see you again soon for the final workflow video. Bye!